For years, the government has said there are too many pythons out there. Now the Fish and Wildlife Service is prohibiting all imports of the giant snakes.
As Mark Strassmann reports, they are overrunning one of America's great wilderness areas.
Pull them out. Got it? All right, I got the head.
Pythons like this one have become a menace in the Florida Everglades, where an estimated 10,000 of them live and keep reproducing. So importing them will soon be illegal in the U.S. On Tuesday, Interior Secretary Ken Salazar announced a federal ban on 4 species of pythons.
Look at the size of this thing.
Including the notorious Burmese python, an invasive species so big, some are 26 feet long and weigh 200 pounds, they've eaten deer and alligators.
The action that we're taking today is a milestone for us in the protection of the Everglades.
This is a albino reticulated python.
That ban is bad news for Greg Graziani, who fell in love with reptiles as a child.
This is about a 3-year-old male.
In Venus, Florida, he now owns almost 300 and sells them on this website. Graziani believes the new law has dangerous implications.
Once you make them illegal or shut down the industry, you create a black market that can no longer be regulated.
Burmese pythons are Asian, but were apparently introduced into the Everglades as abandoned pets.
That's this year's. He's a hatchling. Look at.
Conservationists have spent years and millions of dollars trying to control the threat. Graziani says the danger's exaggerated.
Unlike people want you to believe that they're out in the Everglades like vacuum cleaners just sucking everything up, it's just not true.
This ban could cost Graziani his livelihood, but also help save the Everglades. Mark Strassmann, CBS This Morning, Miami.
Jack Hanna, Director Emeritus of the Columbus Zoo, is one of America's best-known experts on exotic animals. He's in Venice, Florida. Jack, good morning.
Good morning.
Tell me what you think of the ban, and is that the right way to go?
Well, to me, it's a state issue. Yes, this is the federal government again. The Everglades is a national park, one of my favorite parks, by the way. It's an invasive species in that area. For example, the python in Africa and Asia, they're native to those countries. But as far as the python in the Everglades, it's not a natural thing. I know what the young man just said as far as his idea that he raises these snakes since a young man, so he's probably a reputable breeder, and I can understand why he's upset. But the problem is you can't go buying these little snakes, because every child, every young boy like myself in Tennessee back in the old days would love to have a snake. But what happens to that snake after 2 years? What happens then? Gets bigger, so they have to then take that snake and put that snake somewhere. Zoos can't take them today. There's new laws we have. We just can't take every snake. So it becomes a problem. The other problem is I use a python to go from state to state to educate folks about how big they get, what a beautiful creature they are, but they're not something you probably want as a pet. As far as educational, some of these reputable breeders, this law could affect them. I think it's a state issue, and of course that's my opinion, so it doesn't affect the 220 American Zoo and Aquarium Association zoos around the country. It doesn't affect our breeding programs, as well as private breeders who are reputable.
So you don't, no federal ban, leave it up to the states because they have different circumstances, and that will take care of the problem, and in your minds, Florida will deal with its own supply, numbers of pythons that are overwhelming the Everglades.
Right. Florida has a tremendous game and fish commission here. For example, you're not going to find, and I'll use the word family, it's not a family, you're not going to find pythons in Montana, Utah, Idaho, Ohio, even up here right now up in northern Florida. They might survive a little while, but not long. So Florida is a problem, along with maybe Louisiana and other states like that. But that's where I'm coming from. Just like in Ohio right now, as you know, we have a big problem there with what happened several months ago. We're dealing with atomic bombs when you're dealing with tigers, lions, and that kind of thing. They also want to incorporate some pythons in that law. But right now we're trying to work that out so we don't affect the educational programs, the reputable breeders. We don't affect those guys when we pass this new law.
So what about, but Jack, what about the existing problem? So the ban is one issue, and whether or not it would work, how it should be regulated. But there is a very well-documented problem in the Everglades right now. What is Florida doing to control that population and to get it under control?
Well, they've been trying, as you know, for several years. They're trying to take them out. I've heard this, that they're even having to hire outside people to come in and try and find these snakes. Now, one thing, you know, people get alarmed because of the snake movie, the snake on the plane, and snakes, you just think of a snake. You know, it's really not fair to the animal. These snakes are a beautiful creature, but in the Everglades, they're not natural there, and they are breeding tremendously right
Jack,
now. So
if Florida
something definitely has to be done to control the numbers.
So if Florida doesn't do it, what then?
Well, no, Florida's going to do it. I mean, I know the game and fish guys here. They're trying to do it. I think they can accomplish their goal. That's my personal opinion. They just have to have support and tough rules here, I guess, that snakes cannot just come into this state and put off as a pet or whatever it might be and dump them in the Everglades. Other states don't have that problem because it's too cold. But there are reputable breeders in Florida that we can't put these guys out of business because they help the zoological world with a lot of our breeding programs.
Jack Hanna, always great to have you with us. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack.